Hey guys, welcome back to Indian Palmistry. My name is Sulabh Jain, and in this video we're going to be talking about the energy around cryptocurrencies. You see, there's been this really big correction in the markets over the last few weeks, and I'm getting a lot of worried messages from you guys again about what's going to happen with these cryptocurrencies. Are they going to work, or what's going on? Now, I put out a video a couple weeks ago telling you guys, don't worry, there's going to be a correction, don't panic. And at that point I got a lot of panic messages anyway. Since then the market's corrected, or it's fallen off a little bit, and I'm putting out a similar message. In my previous video though, I was telling you guys to come up with a Jupiter-based rational plan on what to do with your investments. In that video I didn't actually tell you guys how to do it, or even why it's important to do that. But I'm going to do that in this video. I'm going to give you a general template or a roadmap on the energy behind crypto, why it's so important to have a plan right now, so that as the market goes up and down, that you guys aren't panicking. So let's talk about energy. Now, there's two kinds of energy to really pay attention to here. Short-term energy around the zodiac house of Taurus, and then medium to long-term energy around the planet Saturn. And really, to explain why we're looking at one zodiac house and also one planet, let me just go very shallow into astrology or Jyotish theory here. You see, all the zodiac houses represent a different type of energy, but specifically it's feminine energy. Meanwhile, all the planets represent a different type of energy, but they're masculine energy. What I mean by this is masculine energy is like a verb, it's always a doing thing. So Saturn is the planet for hard work, to work, whereas the Sun, that's the planet to be. Or Mercury, for example, is the planet to communicate. So they're doing words. That's why they're male, because firstly they move, they're active, or in terms of the yin-yang principle, they're always doing something. Whereas the zodiac houses, they stay fixed exactly where they are, and it's the Earth that rotates in order to accommodate them. So, a very simple way of making a prediction is to look at, say, the zodiac house of Cancer, which represents your home. And when a planet like Saturn comes into Cancer, well, that means hard work, right? Saturn is to work, Cancer is your home, so it's hard work around your home. The very simple way of making predictions about transits is to create a noun and connect it to a verb, and then you create a sentence. It's the simplest form of Jyotish predictions that they are, but it's very, very accurate. Now, the reason I'm starting out talking about all of this is right now, all the energy around cryptocurrencies is in the zodiac house of Taurus. And Taurus is the natural second house of the zodiac, which rules things like investments, assets, all that sort of stuff. So you'd think that's where it's supposed to be, but actually it isn't. And what I mean by this is Taurus is actually on the opposite end of the zodiac to Scorpio. And what I mean by that is cryptocurrency actually started out as the anti-establishment investment. It was supposed to be the new version of gold, the new digital gold, if you will. And Scorpio is the energy that's supposed to hold all of that. You see, Scorpio represents wealth that is hidden. Specifically also wealth from underneath the ground. So all the commodities, including gold and silver, are represented by Scorpio. So the idea that cryptocurrencies, which is supposed to be synonymous with this, is actually on the opposite end of the zodiac is very telling here. You see, crypto's growth is coming at the expense of gold and silver. It's not the new gold, it's actually something completely different energetically. And this is why understanding energy is so important, because Scorpio is ruled by Mars, which represents energy. Now think of it as to energize. Now, the price of gold and silver has always been tied to the energy needed to extract it. So for example, in the Roman days, or in the Bronze Age or Iron Age, the price of gold or silver was tied to the amount of energy or the amount of caloric output needed to dig this out of the ground. Imagine the amount of food a Roman centurion would have had to give a slave in order to feed him, keep him alive just long enough to dig some of this stuff out of the ground. That's what the price of gold was and silver back in those days. But then in the industrial age, with the discovery of oil, energy became very cheap. And you could extract a whole lot more gold and silver out of the ground, and therefore the price of oil determined the price of gold and silver. There's actually a correlation going on there, and it's all Mars based. But right now the price of Bitcoin is also tied to the price of energy. You see, in order to mine a block of Bitcoin, you need a certain amount of energy in order to do that. That's why in a bear market in cryptocurrencies, energy and the price of energy is so important. And so Bitcoin is energy dependent, just like gold, but it's taking away from the energy of gold and silver via Taurus. And so in this way, both gold and silver and the cryptocurrencies are anti-establishment investments, but their energy is actually opposite and yet still guided by the same planet of Mars. So the question then is, what's going to be happening to the cryptocurrencies over the next year or so? So what's going to happen is Jupiter will move into Taurus in early May. And Jupiter is a great planet for expansion, and it generally creates good things wherever it goes. And what I predict is during this time, the price of cryptocurrencies should actually boom. In fact, not only boom, I think there's going to be a monster run-up. Because it's during this time, the Sun will also be there. And also Venus, the ruler of Taurus, should come into there as well. In addition to this, there's also going to be a new moon and a full moon over the Taurus-Scorpio axis as well. So all the energy is pointing towards a monster run-up in the cryptocurrencies. And so my suggestion, therefore, is to make sure you have set up your position ASAP. And then on this channel, we'll keep you updated on all the ups and downs that happen over this time. But if you think the bull run started with crypto, it hasn't, because it's only been 1 or 2 planets that have activated via Taurus so far. And the next month is going to be 4, 5, or 6. And it's going to be huge, so stay tuned for that one. But in addition to this, I also keep saying to you guys to make a plan. So let me explain what I mean by that, because if this bull run is going to be ruled by Jupiter, then that means you've got to have a Jupiterian plan for this bull run. And Jupiter is a very rational planet. It doesn't work well with emotions. Have something rational, preferably written down, and then execute on that plan. And to make sense of this, let's also go into some more palmistry theory. You see, in palmistry, there are just 4 ways to make money. You can do it via your Mercury line, which is business-based. You can do it via your Sun line, which is creativity-based, singers, actors, musicians, also politicians, they have a strong sun. Or you can do it the way most people do, which is through your Saturn line. And Saturn is hard work, so having a day job or that type of thing. The 4th way to make money is through Rahu, which is this triangle in the very center of your hand. And in fact, Rahu's triangle is the area for greed and figuring out how you use and spend the money that you have. One way to tell who's a good business person or not is to actually look at this specific area of the hand. The reason I mention all of this is if we look back at the previous crypto bull markets, the one in 2015 to 17 was ruled by the Sun. At that point in time, there were really only 3 cryptocurrencies: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple. The last crypto bull run in 2019 to 2021 was ruled by Rahu. And the energy of Rahu is all about greed. So in that bull run, you could actually afford to be greedy because Rahu was supporting you. Rahu also punished you because if you got too greedy, it would actually pull the rug out from underneath your feet and give you huge losses. And I was part of that group as well. However, right now in the 2023 to maybe 2025 bull run, this energy is going to be all about Jupiter. So you need to align yourself with the energy of Jupiter. And keep in mind that Jupiter is a very rational planet. It doesn't really like emotion too much. So last time you could have the emotion of greed motivating you and you do well. This time you have to be rational. Now let me explain what I mean by that. You see, there are two emotions that determine your success in investments. It's either fear or greed. And fear is ruled by Saturn, and greed is ruled by Rahu. Now, it's not just these two planets by themselves. Remember a moment ago I told you there are three primary ways to make money via palmistry. You can have your fear or your greed be motivated by Mercury, which is the business line in palmistry. Think of Mercury as your intelligence and your ability to communicate. So people who are very, very smart and are very, very good communicators are often very, very good business people also. However, if it is your fear that motivates your intelligence, then that will breed anxiety within you. So when I talk about setting up a rational plan, I mean making sure that neither your fear nor your greed is overmining or undermining your intelligence. There are specific meditations that you can do to get on top of this, but this is one example here. If you find yourself looking at the stock prices or the crypto prices every 3 or 4 hours or more than one time per day, it's probably fear or greed that's overriding your intelligence. If you just set up a simple plan, let's say through technical analysis, you figure out what price it is that you project a cryptocurrency to go to, then stick to that plan. Don't revisit the charts all the time. That's you undermining your own intelligence. The other way to make money is through the sun. And the sun, remember I was saying before, the verb associated with that is to be. It's self-expression. But when self-expression goes too far, that turns into ego. And so if it's your fear that motivates your ego, you're in trouble. Or if it's your greed that motivates your ego, then you're actually in even more trouble. You see, the ego is a double-edged sword. It's primarily there to help you on your path to enlightenment. But if you don't use it for that and you use it to make money or to, convince yourself that you're better than other people, then you're actually going to be building up your karma. So get on top of fear and greed as far as your ego is concerned. The third way to make money is through Saturn. And as I said a second ago, Saturn is a planet of hard work, but it also motivates fear because you see, Saturn is also the planet for the downtrodden. Now think of it as the slaves that get the whips on their back because they're not working hard enough. When Saturn wants to punish you, that's what it does. But when Saturn wants to reward you, it'll actually throw a lot of money into your life. So if you have a simple plan where you're just working hard towards achieving your goals, then Saturn is actually your best friend. You can't do that if you're motivated by fear or by greed. And I know that's a double-edged meaning here when you say that fear of Saturn will help you overcome Saturn, but read between the lines of what I'm saying. There's a really profound mystical secret there. In other words, your homework is to make a rational plan for the next 12 months and then execute it. And then I'd like you to use your Jupiterian energy to take control of your emotions of fear and greed. And if you do have trouble controlling your emotions, I recommend meditation. Jupiter loves meditation, and the more you meditate, the more detached you become, therefore things get easier. So that's your first bit of homework. Now, having said that, let's also talk about maybe the longer term on what's going to be happening with crypto, just to give you guys a handle on this energy. Oh, actually, before we talk long term, let me talk medium term. Remember guys, on this channel, I've been predicting a big financial crash to take place at the end of 2026. So in around about 2 or 3 years, there's going to be a big real estate and banking crisis taking place. But when I talk long term about crypto, I'm looking like 7 years down the line here. And it's specifically the energy of Shani or Saturn coming into Taurus. So let me explain what I mean by that. You see, Saturn is a planet for destruction. I know I just introduced it as a planet of hard work, and then after that I said it's a planet of fear. But the reason it is able to inspire fear and get people to work hard is it actually destroys everything around it. And it helps you to rebuild from the ground up. So think of it as like the big reset planet. When the big reset planet comes into Taurus, which is where cryptocurrency is right now, it will reset its energy. And the energy of crypto will actually ricochet into one of the different zodiac houses at that point in time. It's too early to tell where it's going to go. It could move into Virgo at that point. And Virgo, by the way, is the zodiac house of debt. And right now, all investments and money in the world is actually debt-based. So if you want to predict a financial crisis, you look at a negative planet coming through Virgo, like Ketu being there right now. The other areas it could ricochet into is Aquarius, which is out-of-the-box type investments. It could even move into Scorpio, which is hidden wealth. You know, it's too early to tell where it's going to end up, but set a 7-year plan for yourself within this crypto reset. Now, after this point, crypto will actually start to go mainstream. So that's the big picture here with cryptocurrencies. But I do also want to give you guys a personal observation that I've been making over about the last maybe 5 or 10 years. You see, I'm currently working on a video that I'm going to release, hopefully in the next month or so. I'm going to call it the most important video I'll ever make on my YouTube channel. Now, in that video, I'm going to give you guys the big picture of what's happening in the world and why everything seems so chaotic right now. But until I release that video, I want to show you guys a couple lines that I'm noticing coming up on people's hands. The first one is the ring of Jupiter. That's a semicircular line that comes in underneath the index finger. It's an extremely spiritual indication. And when I first started reading palms professionally about 25 years ago, this was a very rare sign. In fact, I'd only see it on maybe 1 in 100 hands. And if you read the palmistry books written in the 80s or 90s or even before that period, like centuries ago, they'd say this was the hand for monks. This was a line that would appear on the hands of monks. It was just that rare. But what I'm noticing over the last couple of years is more and more people are actually being born who are becoming extremely spiritual. They're not actually monks themselves, but they have the mentality of a monk to focus on their meditation and spiritual work. So this line is becoming more common now. It's like 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 5 people tend to have this. The other important line that I'm seeing on people that just wasn't there years and years ago is a line of an early retirement. That's like this little branch that comes off your lifeline. This was a very rare indication. Again, I'd only see it on maybe 1 in 100 hands years and years ago, but now I'm seeing it almost all the time, and especially with people who are investing into cryptocurrencies. So they're becoming more spiritual, they're getting to the point of early retirement very quickly. But then the third indication I'm noticing, which I haven't seen again in years and years, is a temple symbol. This is an extremely rare sign, and you see temples on the hands of people who build temples or who start up their own charities. And that again is something that's very uncommon. In other words, I think there's an energetic sea change happening in the world right now. All these people are becoming spiritual through cryptocurrencies. They're getting to a point of financial freedom, and then they're going to start up their charities. That seems to be the 3 steps to their life trajectory. Now I want you guys to have a think about this. Figure out what your own life trajectory is, and then map your rational Jupiter-based plan on cryptocurrency based off those expectations. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. If you do have questions, put them in the comment section below. Thanks a lot.